Well, good evening, everyone. And here she is. The Anne Summers AYN is finally complete. I say finally complete because there's always bits and bobs that you can do on these ships. They're never quite finished because you realise that you can add some extra detail somewhere, or that some of the painting isn't so good. And here she is with the Falanouc Frigate, which is a brand new small frigate, an air defence frigate. And the Anne Summers represents some of the Fletchers, the 6 remaining Fletchers, which will be refurbished, and she is the first to be refurbished. Now, I did plan to do her in configurations stretching back to the 60s. In practicality, and as I built her, wasn't possible because of some of the choices I've made. But I can do her as a Seawolf ship and take her a little bit back to the 90s, but not really too far, and I'll come on to why. So the Fletcher Class Destroyer was one of the best destroyers ever made. World War II ships, so yes, parts of her are 80 years old, but she has been rebuilt more than most celebrities. Entering service on the 14th of the 2nd, 1945, the Anne Summers was originally called a boring name by the Americans, and she became the Anne Summers when she was transferred to Malagasy service after World War II, along with a lot of old Essex class carriers, which again were refurbished by the Whatifians. And at one point, the Malagasys were buying up American hulls, and they had 40 to 50 Fletchers sat around the island for spares. Now, the Fletcher was, of course, a destroyer in World War II, but by the 1960s, she was too small compared to the destroyers which are coming out. And you can see, look at the size of the Falanouc compared to her. So she became a frigate, and her 13 sisters have served in that role, and they've been upgraded and repaired, and those spare hulls have been used to keep them going in the Whatif. And why have they done that? Well, the Malagasys are a mix of very modern cutting edge technology and also old refurbishments. Now, this is a 3D printed hull. It's not the best hull. I've done my best with sanding and shaping it, but really the hulls from Fleet Scale are a lot more smoother, and I'll probably be doing more Fleet Scale hulls if I'm allowed to do bigger ships. So let's take a look from the bows. So F694, one of the 6 to be refurbished. I've added some weathering around. Now the kit is good, it comes with the anchors, doesn't come with chains, but does come with some of the fittings. And then I've added a 57 Bofors turret from eBay, which I really like, and I use those on all of my bigger ships. I've taken the one off the Kanga class, which is too small for it really, and I've done it so that it can turn around, which is quite unique for me. The 57 Bofors is great because it doesn't need the handling room, it just has the magazine beneath it. It's a weight saving and space saving. Then we come on to the Salty Sea Dog system, which is a point defence surface-to-air missile system. And again, I've done that so that can come off and be replaced with a Seawolf. But the Salty Sea Dog is a brand new system, range of about, in the Whatif, around 20 kilometres. It's used against missiles and against aircraft. It can also fire loitering munitions, which can take on these things, uncrewed surface vessels. So it's a very versatile system. Reloads come in from here and they're just reloaded. So there is 10 in the forward launcher ready to go. The bridge was redone in the 1980s, and that's the 1980s bridge. Again, it's really hard to get a paint match with some of the spray paints. And here are a pair of her countermeasures launchers, a remote weapon system, tracking radar for the Salty Sea Dogs, SATCOM, and because she is going to investigate a suspicious vessel, she's got a couple of crew keeping observations on the bridge. Crew for these is about 140 to 150 tops, significant decrease through automation. There's her other countermeasures there, and this box here would contain life vests, and of course here are the 3D printed life rafts from eBay, Mark's Model Bits, I think. I've redone her bridge and I've redone her mast to make it look more modern, still keeping the theme. And this is a custom homemade long-range search radar that I've made. Doesn't quite have the capability of the S1850 on the Falanouc, but it's still a really good search radar for air and sea targets, and this one actually turns. The bridge on these did have like the Mark 37 detector on the top, and here's a sort of a sea search anti-collision radar. Here's an electrical optical system which allows the 57 Bofors to find its targets and also to surveil. And the bridge goes into the mast, and the mast has the radio antennae on there, and then some more ECM stuff. Davits, it's still got the original davits for the launching of boats, these spin out swing, and it's got a rib boat here with two motors, which is pretty cool. And it's launched a smaller rib here with some crew to go and investigate the suspicious boat. And it can also launch boats using, which is where this has come from, using this crane, extending it out the reach of the propellers and launching it there. The propellers are modern 5-blade propellers from AliExpress on metal shafts. It does keep the single rudder, but it can launch as well the whaler, so-called, on this side. And that is again a powered boat, a slightly bigger boat with a bigger hull. Then we've got the CIWS close-in weapon system, which is the modernised version with the tracking, and that provides anti-missile aircraft and anti-drone boat defence. Should that go down, you've got two 25mm Bushmasters here to cover the waterline, and two 50 cals here crewed by the naval infantry to go with the RWSs outside the bridge. The naval infantry are specialists. They're like special forces. There's 12 on the boat plus an officer, and they work really from the helicopter, from the small boats. They are specialists. Some of them are trained as medics, demolition snipers, and machine gunners. And here they are with some Navy crew figures, which are RNLI lifeboat crew figures from scale 3D, and then some AliExpress crew figures here, because of course you need to have someone to clear stoppages and reload these, even though these are remote weapons stations. So the idea is that the 50 cals, remote weapon stations, and the Falanoucs can protect the waterline and the boat. Coming on next, we have the Larasim launchers, or they could be Exocet Block 3s. They're a lot bigger than the original Exocet launchers, and there's 4 of those. So yes, the frigate does have firepower, but it's less than the Falanouc, which has 10 launching stations and 2 Sea Whizzes, but it's not bad. This is the latest rebuild, so this has the intake here for the gas turbines, and the gas turbines exhaust on either side down at the waterline, like the Falanouc, or just in the waterline. And the idea here is that reduces the IR signature significantly, giving the boat an extra level of protection against infrared detection and against missile tracking systems. So it's much better in terms of giving the boat a stealth performance. AI would be used on the bridge and in the command centre, which is down there. Now, in the 1970s and 60s, the class was rebuilt with the hangar, and the hangar exists there. It's got 2 remote weapon stations, 50 cals on the top, firefighting equipment, SATCOMs, ECM, and more radio antennas. The hangar is a lot smaller than the Falanouc. Now, the Falanouc has the multi-mission bays on either side, and that's where its ribs, inflatable boats, and uncrewed surface vessels launch from. There's not as much space on the Fletcher frigates. Some Carly floats here, which are still useful, modernised versions, because you don't have to get them out, and they're very useful if your ship suddenly takes a hit and capsizes. On these, they would go from UH-1F to the Lynx, and then to the Lynx 8.5, which is seen here. The Lynx is probably the most popular helicopter I've made. Some more AliExpress figures there, and lifeboat crew figures there, the fire person with the red jacket, and the director there telling the helicopter power up. We've got an auxiliary diesel located down here. Underneath here we've got space for helicopter spares, flight crews, accommodation, and then we've got the rear. This was where the Akara anti-submarine torpedo launcher was. Now a second Salty Sea Dog launcher there in the stowed position with a blast deflector, and some ready reloads there. So 10 rounds there, 10 ready reload rounds, crane to move everything around, another crane to help move anti-submarine stuff, and some rear lookout positions here. And then we're into the anti-submarine area, where we have got the ability to launch the towed sonar array, and they can also slide lightweight torpedoes down. This comes up and down, and it allows the towed sonar array to deploy off it. It's got a third fin which pops out as it comes out and goes in as it comes back on, and it can be towed back in, reeled back in there, and there is the towed sonar array getting ready to be deployed. Underneath we've got a single rudder which I've kept. I've not decided to modernise it, but the modern 5-blade propellers. It's a gas turbine diesel electric plant, very advanced stuff, a lot of weight and space saved. And underneath here we've got a sonar dome for the sonar that's on the ship. It does still keep some lamps because sailors like communicating silently, not using radars and radios, and the lamps can do that. And then let's just have a quick look at where accommodation would be. So here would be anchor chain stowage and storerooms, a reinforced bulkhead bow. The armour on these frigates is only sort of splinter protection, Kevlar and spool lining. They're not designed to take hits, but they are heavily compartmentalised. Steel hull on these, and a lightweight, mainly steel superstructure up to here, and then you're onto aluminium, and aluminium onto the hangar. Same with the Falanouc, where you've got a lot of aluminium used on the hangar and the top bits, but underneath you've got a solid steel hull. Bridge crews are kept small on Malagasy ships by the use of AI. Like I said, around 140 to 150 max crew on this. The Falanouc is down at 90 because it's really using a lot of AI and automation. Forward crew accommodation along here, combat information centre in there, officers' wardrooms and accommodation, radio rooms, etc. like that. All that with the bridge area. Then you've got space here for the galley, for the mess, because this isn't freed up a lot of space by using your gas turbines. Here's your gas turbines, your machinery, your engineering plant running back to here underneath the hangar. Fuel for the helicopter, and then fuel for the ship is actually spread around just inside the holes. For ballasting and buoyancy. It does have stabilisers like the Falanouc, but they're retracted on my models because they just get knocked off. Lightweight flight deck, and then you've got rear accommodation here, and then you've got rear stores over the propellers. So I hope you like this. This is a 3D printed kit of a World War II Fletcher Destroyer, and this is the Fletcher Destroyer reimagined as Anne Summers from the Malagasy Whatif Navy. She's off to investigate a suspicious craft off the island of Sakata, which is now Malagasy territory. So the Lynx is getting ready to go with a PJ in the door, and they've launched one rib from the rear. They could launch another one, and they are preparing to go and investigate the suspicious vessel. They will have launched a reconnaissance and loitering munition package from the Salty Sea Dog to give them some cover. And yeah, there you go. 80 years of service, still going strong. Estimated another 10 years out of her. She's pretty much fully rebuilt everywhere. And what that allows the Malagasys to do is to rebuild older vessels like this to allow them to have the funds for nice new vessels. So they operate some classic vessels and they operate some brand new vessels. The Fletcher Class Frigates operate pretty much alone out at the extremes of the Malagasy triangle. They have long-range roaming vessels, point defence capability for their anti-aircraft systems, whereas the Falanoucs tend to operate with other vessels in amphibious packages providing air defence. You could quite easily pair these two up together and you have a very potent package, with the Falanouc being able to cover the Fletcher and the Fletcher being able to roam further out and provide a picket. So I hope you've enjoyed this build. There are a few other things that I've run out of time to cover. There's another electro-optical device. This crane's from a Revel boat. And yeah, I just hope you like it. It is Whatif. Let me know what you think. Take care. Goodbye.